In the opening pages of The War of Art, the author, Stephen Pressfield, writes, "Most of us have two lives, the life we live and the unlived life within us." I agree, calling the life we live default and the unlived life within us as the one dying to be designed. Good news is, between those two lives lies only a decision. The bad news is the life we live, default, as I call it, tricks us into believing the lies we tell ourselves. And then what? Well, we engage in self-sabotaging activities, ranging from kicking the ice cube underneath the refrigerator and not picking it up, to binge watching Breaking Bad, or worse. We literally talk ourselves out of writing that New York Times bestseller, out of winning that Olympic gold medal, out of taking that company public, or being happy for God's sake. Let me ask you, if you're engaging in self-sabotage right now as a result of the life you live, your default, how long until you think default compounded over time becomes depression? What's more, God sent his only son on a suicide mission to die for your sins and mine, and furthermore, to give us the tools to design the life we want. Not to be stuck in default mode, zombieing around, waiting for the next iPhone to drop. Now, friends, please hear my heart. It is not my intention to fool you into believing I have this whole thing figured out. I don't. I'm just humble enough to speak about it frankly with you. Now, with that, may I be vulnerable for a moment? As I said before, I'm a sprinter. Most of you know that. What most of you don't know is that default for me right now in my life is binge eating. A couple of weeks ago, I reached a terminus in my track career. After opening the season within 1 second of my all-time PR in the 400 meter, what did I do? I went home and I ate my weight in filet mignon, Twinkies, Pop-Tarts, and bread, of all things, right? I mean, I already have enough working against me when I race these college kids, right? I'm 32, they're 22 at the oldest. I'm 230 pounds. I could lose my right leg and they'd still be lighter than me. They've been doing this since they were 8, me, 28. So, if you're engaging in self-sabotage, know that you are not alone. I feel your pain. I feel your crisis. Now, back to the terminus, I woke up the next morning and I asked myself, why am I doing this to myself? And more importantly, how do I stop? There's 3 things. You have to define default. Then you have to make the decision so you can design the life you want. So, what is default? Francis Xavier once said, give me the child until he is 7 and I will show you the man. Which means the ages from 0 to 7 ingrain in us our default mode network. I'll use examples in my own life so you can come to conclusions in yours. My mother, used to shop in the Husky section at the Gap when I was little. Feel free to talk to my wife about my ongoing battles with body dysmorphia. My parents split when I was 4. My mom and my little brother's dad got divorced before I hit 13. I'll let you do the math on how my teens and 20s looked when it came to commitment, or lack thereof, with the women I dated. My dad was poor, and it played a role into his and my mom's breakup. Now, do you think it's any coincidence that at the age of 30, the same age that my dad and my mom were when they broke up, I had $44 to my name and I had to ask my mom for money? That's default! Which is why it is so freaking important to make the decision. I used to sell life insurance. I was damn good at it too. When I was smiling and dialing, 300 cold calls a day was just another day. Except for the day that Mr. Jones picked up the phone. What initially I thought was going to be a signed, sealed, and delivered life insurance policy application and a fat commission ended up being a 6-hour conversation with a complete stranger. Now you might be wondering, what on earth could you have been talking about? Turns out nothing on earth. Literally. You see, Mr. Jones gave me a masterclass on God that day. And I'm not convinced he wasn't. I mean, the dude sounded exactly like Morgan Freeman from Bruce Almighty. And maybe he was, because I poured out everything to this guy. I talked about my hopes, my dreams, my ambitions, all the good I wanted to do in the world. And you want to know what he said to me? Put God first, or you will lose everything. Now, friends, God, like Mr. Jones and I up until that point, we were complete strangers. Until I made the decision to put him first. Now, coincidentally, the same day I put God first was the same day I made the commitment to my wife, Tiffany. Not coincidentally, every day after that, my life has gotten better. Why? Who are you more likely to help? A stranger or somebody you know? God and I are no longer strangers. In fact, I think God is like a parent. When he sees his children doing well, he wants to reward them. When he sees you doing good, he wants to deliver to you the tools to thrust you out of default and into the life you can design. Deliver us, Lord, from every evil. I am no sage, but I think there might be a reason why we say that every single Sunday. 3, design the life you want. You see, friends, when you make the decision to put God first, it ain't like getting your tonsils taken out. It ain't a one-time thing. No, just like anything that's worth doing right, whether it be working out, eating right, or practicing the salsa, it takes practice. You have to make the decision every single day that you are going to put God first. You have to make the decision every single day that you are forgetting your past and remembering your future. You have to make the decision every single day that you are designing the life that you want, and you have to make the decision that that is the case so you don't default back to the worst case. Newsflash, you are human. Humans are perfectly imperfect, which means you are going to fail. And when you do not let default drag you back down. Instead, I implore you to use the same mantra I do whenever I mess up. One day on isn't going to make you, just like one day off isn't going to break you. So to review, how do you stop self-sabotage and get into the life that you want? You have to define your default. And then you need to make the decision so you can design the life you want. Or you can do what I did and subscribe to self-sabotage for more than 20 years, be a complete stranger in God's eyes, and then wonder why default is running your life rather than design the life that you want. But the good news is, between those two lives lies only a decision. Thank you.